Before you tonight are both items 31 and 32. Ultimately, this is your operating and capital budget, municipal fee schedule. This is all of the utility rates and the financial plans for the various utility rates. We started this conversation less than 2 months ago when the council chose to reflect the current health emergency in our FY21 budget planning, which straddled us with a $39 million general fund gap. Ultimately, service impacts still remain significant, but I think through these discussions and process, the city services will be maintained. It's just really important as we move through this to recognize the continued uncertainties. It's likely not until September that we'll know the impact of the core shelter-in-place months. Overall, before you tonight is a citywide budget of $796.7 million. Overall, the budget that's before the council tonight has a recommended staffing level of 960 full-time positions. This reflects a reduction of 74 positions. On the general fund, we have about a 15% reduction in year-over-year revenues. There is no recommended draw on the budget stabilization reserve in this 2021 budget. This is a summary of the proposed rate changes for FY 2021. A number of them are obviously at zero, with gas, fiber, and storm drain at 2 or 2.5%. On the CIP side, the general fund contribution to infrastructure recommended to be reduced in here by 56%. So before the council, and on the next 3 slides, are the recommended action that we're looking for the council to take tonight. All of these subsections and pieces of it are all the necessary components to actually adopt the final FY 2021 budget ordinance. Next is adopting the ordinance, amending the Muni Code. This is the second reading. The next is accepting the capital improvement plan. And lastly is, as recommended by the Finance Committee, accepting the biennial actuarial evaluation.
We're cutting the services available to the children in our community pretty drastically, it seems like. Whether that be the children's theater and the cuts that are being made there, or increasing the fees to middle school athletics by 25%, that can make the difference between joining and not joining for a lot of these families.
Please do not make what is for you a tiny budget cut when it would have such a huge impact on the handful of professional artists that staff the theater.
This is a tough budget. There's no question about it. I think we defunded every department this year. We had a $42 million reduction. It's not something that any of us wanted to do.
How many, if any, police officers or firefighters will be leaving the city in July?
None.
Okay. One thing to the community members who are still unhappy, and understandably so, we have set aside some money to figure out what we need to change. And we just don't know the answers to that yet based on how much uncertainty there is. We hear you, and we're going to see what we can do in a few months when we know more.
So earlier, there was some commenters that talked about the Palo Alto childcare. How are we as a city affiliated with the childcare?
Well, specific to the Palo Alto community childcare, they receive funding directly from the city that is used for subsidies for families for childcare.
I'm so sorry for the employees that will have to be leaving, and I hope they know that our thanks go to them, and we so appreciate what they've done. So do we have anything, Ed, that we're going to do through HR that will give some support to people who are leaving?
We have actually been preparing in human resources to be available to support our employees who will be back out in the job market.
I see a lot of other cities thinking about police reform and trying to reimagine what public safety is. So we're cutting a lot of services and programs that people really value. But I really think we should be doing more infrastructure projects to understand the rationales behind them. In light of like the thoughts of reimagining public safety, would our public safety building change? Would our police department look different than it does today, and would the requirements be different? But really, I think we have to think very critically about these infrastructure projects. Like some of them, like buying a $700,000 fingerprint art before the building even starts, to me, just is not appropriate. So we really need to sharpen our pencils on that. We have a very large city manager office for our size. I think that's another thing that needs to be really examined. The thing I really regret about this budget is the cut in community services, things that people really value in the community. We heard about the children's theater, the libraries, and I'm thinking about all the people that are not going to participate now. I think this budget is really problematic. As I said, I'm going to find a really hard time to support it. I think a lot of the community members are going to have a hard time supporting it.
Really disappointed that, we really didn't look into how to save the jobs and to save community services. I cannot support certain parts of this motion. It's just very sad.
We're going to vote letter by letter. Letter A, okay, that passes on a 5-2 vote with Councilmembers Koo and Tanaka voting no. Letter B passes unanimously.
Letter C, accepting the fiscal year 21 to 25 capital improvement plan. That passes on a 5-2 vote with Councilmembers Koo and Tanaka voting no. Part D, actuarial valuation, retiree healthcare plan, and the annual actuarial determined contribution to CalPERS. Passes unanimously. Letter E, the utility rates and reserves. That passes on a 6-1 with Councilmember Tanaka voting no. Thank you all. That concludes our budget.